Let's keep the applause going and bring Eric onto the screen. Olá, bom dia, tudo bem?
Hey, hello, Carl. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. And as I said, there are a few themes emerging here that I'm sure are going to come into my conversation with you. I've had a couple of very inspiring and interesting conversations with you in the last couple of months, Eric, and it's lovely to see you on the in and on the morning show environment as well. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. I just did my workout outside, so I'm putting in practice what Coach Ian is saying, getting out.
Well, can I be nosy and ask you what your physical routine is before we get into the inner workings of your mind and how we might talk about others' minds and how much they're investing in social media and the digital world?
Yeah, well, I think it will take a few minutes. So for now, we'll just say that when I wake up, I make the commitment to take care of my well-being.
Mhm.
So before I start my day doing my thing, scrolling is part of it, whether we like it or not. The idea really is to invest on my well-being, one digital pause at a time. And I
Yeah,
mean, I say it in a way that for me, it's relevant. For
yeah,
others, it might be a bit of a challenge. But now that I'm into this routine, I don't even have to force it. I go out and then I use all of what I've learned, all the techniques that I've learned over the years. You mentioned Qigong, it's one of them, Tai
mhm.
Chi, and of course, all together with laughter yoga. And we'll touch on it in a moment
Yes.
because there's a lot of paradox up in the air. And one of them is me, like, why am I doing the work that I do? Why am I using tools like laughter? And why believe that it is by far the best tool that we can use to get out of this mess that we created from this beautiful yet very limited digital age. And again, this is something I can touch on a little bit later.
Wow, wow, but excellent. Lovely to hear that you've got a routine
Yeah.
for yourself there, and then that's how you tend to start most of your days. Is it is to get into your body, perhaps before you get into your mind.
I would say this, I start my day with a routine, but
Yeah,
along the way until I go to sleep, there's always times where I switch off.
yeah,
So I'm using my medicine, the pause,
yes,
to really engage with others, engage with any activities that we do on a daily basis. You know,
yes, yes,
having lunch, going for a walk. So instead of catching up on the time I don't have to scroll more, which is a
yeah,
waste on its own,
yeah, yeah.
uh, I really invest in my well-being, not just physically but also mentally, and I
Mhm.
think it makes a huge difference at the end.
I think you're
It,
right.
that's the only way. Is what I have to say because I don't like to sound like a book of recipe. I hate it. But it's like put it to the test. You'll see. It's all about common sense. But
Yeah,
to me, it's something that we lost along the way. My
yeah.
job is just to put in practice what I preach, so I can be a living example that it
Mm.
works. I'm about to be 52. I don't feel like it.
No, and you don't look like it either. Amazing, and there is definitely a theme this morning, and I'd love to hear your particular sort of angle on it, and that is making the time. You know, taking the time to do what you know in your heart is going to be right and beneficial for you. And I don't know if there's anything like Coach just concluded by saying just do it. Basically, the Nike strap line. I don't. There's nothing else to it but to do it in a way. But maybe we can come back to that and how you encourage people. What I want to say and what I want to share with everybody this morning who hasn't met you yet, because we've spoken in the evening and we've got the recordings on our YouTube channel, and you're new to the morning environment, and this will be a regular slot for you. And loosely speaking, it is going to be about the digipause, digital detoxing. And you're an incredible person because we spoke a couple of times, and I should, I know I should have done my research before we spoke, but as I was writing up and putting some sleeve notes together, your contribution to the whole digital detox idea is pretty amazing. You've done things in Canada, in India, you've spearheaded, you've been at the cutting edge of this for some time, and now it sounds like you've gone into your own particular niche and variation of it, which is digipause. But could you backtrack a little bit and tell us how you got into the whole idea of digital detoxing and what part you've played in that?
Well, yeah, everything happens by accident. I was not meant to be leading this kind of so-called movement because
Hmm.
it's a very underground movement.
Mm,
It's only because I was looking for a solution, Carl.
yeah.
Uh, let's put it this way. It was back in 2008, way before social media and the smartphone and so, and yet I was addicted to a screen. And what started to be a television that would keep me busy, or I don't know, keep me busy, entertained back in the days,
Mm.
became a tool I was using to compensate what I couldn't find elsewhere.
Wow.
To a point where I crashed, and I crashed mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all together.
Yeah.
And even though I was working really hard to find a solution, because my want was not to lose my comfort. No, I worked my way to gain a certain comfort. I was doing really good work-wise, and yet I was not happy, and I was very, very hooked to the feeling that the screen would provide me. So, long story short, I decided it was time for me to move on, and I did. And I spent years traveling on a bicycle, some places that you describe about, always with the same intention in mind to find a solution to break free from an addiction that was not recognized by the medical system, not recognized by anyone that could talk about addiction or mental health back in the days.
Yeah.
What I found is this. I found that, gosh, you don't have to look really far. The moment you step out of your comfort zone and you start to engage with others, you start to help others, you start to connect with nature. This is it. This is the recipe.
Yeah.
Along the way, I had a chance to talk to many people. And because I dedicated years of my life to volunteer in different communities, to this day, I think it's over 400, but I don't have the number anymore. But
Hmm.
I was just savvy. I was like, how does it work? How do we live together? What can we share together? How can we use the land to provide us the basic? Because I was living in a big city, I had money in my pocket. I had access to everything and nothing. When you feel like you're hungry, you go in a grocery store that is open 24/7.
Yeah.
You walk away with 2 bags full of grocery store, still
Mm.
living on your own. And you're like, why not buy this? Why not buy that? Because you have the money. And then you
Yes.
go home and like, yeah, but I still feel this kind of sensation that something is missing.
Wow.
And then I would compensate this sensation of something is missing with what we now call the excess of FOMO, the fear of missing out. And I
Yeah.
was always binging. And I'm not afraid to say it publicly. I was binging on porn because
Right.
porn was the top ecstasy. And I see it to bring the freaking stigmas around that shit. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
I've been completely sober since 2008 because I was able to look at myself in the mirror and say, that need to stop. And because I couldn't find my solutions in my own country, I had to go out and be inspired by what others are doing. That's
Wow.
why I came back years later, fully transformed with different techniques that I've learned directly from the masters. And I'm cautious when I say that because nowadays, and you know that, how many kids are, no offense, but I'm going to say it publicly anyway, kids are feeling hurt about something. They go meet the first dude, learn something, and instead of immersing themselves long enough, because it's a life process, to say, okay, what am I supposed to understand from that? What
Mm.
can I bring home? And aside from the business thing, how can it become a new way to live? They just print a freaking business card, create a website, and suddenly they are like a
Expert.
shaman, yoga teacher, expert. Good
Yeah.
Lord, where's humility in this world? So for
Yes.
me, it
Yes.
was like I've learned from the top. Okay, I'm not afraid to say it from the top, like the cream of the crop. But I made a commitment that I would not, um, I would respect
Mm.
their teaching and I would do good use of it in a humble way. And that's why this digital detox movement never started from a business perspective.
Mm.
I heard about the startup ideology years and years later.
Mm.
And I'll be honest with you, Carl, it's this idea to fit in the box that got me into a breakdown that could have
Yeah.
been a burnout. And
Yes.
that's why suddenly laughter yoga saved my life.
That's an amazing thing to be able to say. Laughter yoga saved my life. Now I want to backtrack a little bit because you're used to your story and your life and how it's been for you. But there was something really profound that you said, and that I think is a sort of penny dropping moment possibly for other people, which is, hold on a minute, did he say he was addicted to the screen? Is that a thing where we can be addicted to our screens? And they're not only TV screens, computer screens. Obviously now they are smartphone screens. We're never far from these things, and that whole thing, people, I think, can get a sense of that and see how connected they are in one way, but then we can begin to see possibly how addicted we are. And you talked about, particularly with pornography and addiction, and you've described it as sobriety, as being sober of a habit which presumably you found difficult to manage, but you found the necessary willpower and strength and insight to do that. And I take my hat off to you for that. I think that's a
Thank you.
rare and special and inspiring thing to do, and something other people can possibly relate to, whatever it is, whatever type of content or whatever. The major point is that, can they stop if they want to? And we don't really know that, do we? Because it is so much a part of our culture. We don't even get to ask the question, is like, well, I could stop if I wanted to. But no one looks like they're stopping anytime soon, because it's just normal to be carrying this thing around. And every time one stops in life, gets into the car, has a dull moment, standing in a queue. Became very present to this when I spoke to you on one of the two occasions when we spoke before. It's like, no, I don't have to get my bloody phone out every time I come to a stop, waiting for a coffee, or the car stops, or as before I set off in the car, as another moment. And I began to mindfully be aware of, like, this is what Eric's talking about. That little, where you mentioned feeling the emptiness in the belly of, like, I can buy what I want, but still I've got this little emptiness. Picking up the phone and a bit of a scroll feeds that a little bit, doesn't it? It doesn't feed it very well, but it feeds it enough to make you want to keep doing that every time you have a bloody dull moment, or what's called a dull moment. And it's not a dull moment at all, is it? We've framed it like that because we just want to get on this thing all the time.
And I'm very glad. Thanks for touching on it. And of course, it is a topic that we will explore not just in one session, but in many, because I think it demands more attention and understanding.
Yes.
Coming from me as the user, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I had a chance to work with some of them. But coming from me, it's simply that this thing trigger a part of you that makes you weak and more demanding for it.
Yes.
And, again and again, I'm not a specialist in a way that I don't have the official language, but I can just say this. When I was part of the Alcoholics Anonymous, I've done that for more than 12 years. Every time that I mention online addiction, people would say, dude, as long as you don't drink, you're fine. But I'm like, wait a minute. I understand that here we have a commitment is to be sober. We have the 12 steps. For those of you who are not familiar, that is about surrendering to a higher power. And so,
yeah.
But why is it that for me, who's struggling with an addiction, such as the screen one, it is not recognized?
Yeah.
And, that's why I had to go on this journey on my own. There was no way to find any answers. So today, I really feel the pain for parents who need to endure, example, that their kids are on their computer all day, the no life, as we describe them. Or in a couple when one of the partner is scrolling on Instagram all the time because, feel like I need to do something with my life. I don't know why. Others are doing it. Anyway, it's very difficult. And the only reason why I can talk about it openly is because during my years of volunteering, Carl, I live in communities, but also live with smaller groups. And you go on volunteer programs, it's always this family. Oh, we're vegan, we're super fit, and we live by the ocean. Come and enjoy this time with us. You just have to look after the kids, do some gardening. Cool. I love doing that. That's the medicine. But what I noticed during my time, remember, going from the guy who was addicted to slowly sobering up from 20 years of addiction. That's not just a couple of months.
Yeah.
I was like, but wait a minute. What about them? And I started to see this little thing, very intrusive, because from 2008 up to 2010, I had no technology on me. I was totally dry. Something people don't know about. My dad gave me a GPS for the bicycle, and that was it. And eventually, I was working the circus
Yes.
before. So the one of the producers said, "I have a gift for you," and he sent me over a laptop because I started a project along the way, and I had no technology whatsoever. I had to do an effort just to go to a coffee place to have internet. We're
That sounds
talking
great.
a long time ago, right?
Yes.
2008. It's a long time ago. But
Mm.
again, I saw this phone who was becoming the new normal,
Yeah.
sitting at a table with strangers. You're supposed to have a cultural experience, yet they are on their phone. And I started to realize how sneaky it was, and how this technology was slowly but surely replacing the quality of our human experience and
Yep.
interaction, so needed, by the way.
Yep.
So over the years, what I did was to spend times with neuroscientists, psychologists, quantum physicians, name them, all of them, all background, Buddhism, Catholic, to really understand what's going on.
Hmm.
What are we facing at the moment? Because we're facing a human tragedy. And I went back to the starting point, living in Victoria. That was a couple of years after I was on the road, briefly working with the founder of Digital Detox in California. Unfortunately, Levi passed away because of a brain tumor cancer.
Oh dear.
And he left an incredible gift and a legacy that never found its way to become what it is today.
Yeah.
Meaning that at the beginning, it was super powerful,
Yeah.
and yet things fade away completely. And I was trying to put that on my shoulders, not
Hmm.
working. That's why I got into this breakdown burnout.
Yeah.
Where I want to go with that is that, you know, being in the core of where this technology started, Silicon Valley, I had a chance to speak with the people who were involved in the creation of this addiction by design.
Hmm.
And I understood right from the get go that, wait a minute here, you don't have to feel guilty. Nobody here, nobody who's listening to us need to feel guilty. It was meant to be this way. It's done on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. When we talk about attention economy, they want you hooked. They will do
Yeah.
everything they can and more to keep you hooked.
Yeah.
So once you understand that, then you can slowly start to disinstall all the programs.
Absolutely. Yeah. On every level, that the
Yeah, on
programs
every
inside
level.
us, the programs on your phone. It's very interesting, and I'm hoping we're kind of running out of time here. I don't want to
Mhm.
cut you short, but I know that we're gonna keep talking. This is a monthly residency. I suspect you and I will be talking to each other more and doing
Yeah.
things in real
I,
life.
I just want to say one thing to make sure we're clear.
Of
When I
course.
say disinstall, I'm talking about your hard drive or
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
drive.
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
talking about the phone itself, it's changing the programs.
It works on every level, but I totally get
Yeah.
you. And that to me is what's most fascinating, interesting, inspiring, is getting to see that. Because what people do for themselves, it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. The important thing is the awareness and to have the conversation, isn't it? And for me, I'll own it. My experience of and this is, I'm sure it's typical. It's like, well, I'm okay. I haven't got a problem with that. It's like those people over there have got a problem with that. Pity the poor people over there with that problem. And then you realize, actually, I do have that bloody problem, and I can do something about it if I want to. And then the journey begins, doesn't it? Of observing that in my mind of, so I am that guy who actually can't put his phone down, or has to put in a big effort to do that, and think about how I might change the structure of my life. Like one example is Eurobic have this app on the phone and online, and my response to it not working persistently is like, screw it. I don't want the app anymore. I don't want online banking anymore. I'm going to walk to the cash machine, the multibanco, and I'm going to do things online because Portugal, fortunately, has a great system. So I can go for a walk and do my banking rather than worshipping the god of convenience, which, as you say, is actually a part of the device of the attention economy to
God of
transfer
the
everything
convenience.
into
I
this
love it.
horrible digital world that it can overwhelm us. And it should be our slave. There's no question about it. And this is the mindfulness part, I think, is, am I using it or is it using me? And that is a conversation I hope you and I will continue to have and help
Yeah.
people to address, right?
And to set the tone for the people that are listening to this conversation, it's important to mention that my want is not to come by saying, "Hey guys, this technology is bad, 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 bad." Not at all, because I'm not against technology. I'm in favor of a better human
Yeah.
presence and connection, and you won't find that anywhere online. Even if you have thousands of friends or followers on social media, guess what? You can still feel very lonely and live a
Yeah.
life of misery.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. A few comments. One of them being, blimey, I thought you'd got Don Johnson on the program this morning. A bit of Miami Vice glamour. No, it's not Don. It's Eric here with us. But an easy mistake to make, obviously. Maybe those people were on their phones trying to make an appointment with either. Maybe they were. Good luck to them. They needn't waste their time like that. I suspect it's a habit, it's an addiction, and as you know, I'm not. So it's not for me to be judging other people, but I do think that we are facing a sort of epidemic of a screen and digital addiction, and you know, not to be too heavy about it or judgmental, as Eric's saying. We have a chance in seeing that to do something about it if we want to, and then ask the other question. Well, what's the alternative? What else might we be doing with our precious attention in this beautiful life we get to live? And banks don't seem to have tellers. That's also true. But, you know, I'm happy to go use the multi-banco to do an IBAN transfer or whatever, walk out, get some fresh air, walk my dogs. For me, that's a good use of technology and a sweet spot. And, you know, I don't want people to have to sit in banks to earn money. I'd rather they were out walking their dogs as well. So freedom to the tellers as well this morning. Last word to you, Eric, as a sort of by way of an introduction to what's coming and how we're going to work together and help people with this if they want help with it.
Well, we started this conversation talking about the value of vitality vacation.
Yep.
And I will say this to people, instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, it is an addiction by design and I'm hooked to my screen," what about if we switch over to a wellness by design that is meant to empower us, have access to all of the salutogenic effect, and live a life that is far from being what we are experiencing at the moment? A life where you feel happy, content in all senses, and fully energized. Plus, bonus, to get your time back to do what matters and not the opposite. So this is something we'll touch on later during this program, because I think people deserve to know. But everything starts with this idea to build a sense of community. And the screen is great because it helps us to get this conversation started. But like I always say, the secret to health and longevity is when you build healthy community. This goes along. It's not separated, and that's why I want to touch more into why the living paradox is hurting people more than people think. The living paradox of health and wellness in the digital age.
Wow, Eric, what is this heresy and revolution you speak of, whereby people might be on this planet to enjoy themselves, live beautiful lives, and help each other? What are you talking about? I look forward. I look forward to that. I look forward to that journey with you, my friend. And you know what? You know, if what that means is we are living one day in real life, in community, and we don't go on the internet first thing in the morning, do you know what? Strangely enough, I'm all for it. So in the meantime, this might be a means to that end. I hope it is. Fingers crossed for that. And we look forward to seeing you again next month, my friend.
We will, my friend.
Muito obrigado. Bom fim de semana. Ciao, ciao. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need